Good evening. Thank you so much for being with us for another time of sit down. Let's talk about it, where we discuss the issues. We bring different candidates and different people in that sometimes controversial, converse with each other about what's going on in our community or in our lives, where we can get better understanding. If we understand each other, we can walk together. So thank you again for coming and being with us and sharing. We have with us today our special guest that took out from their busy times to be with us on the show. I thank God for you. Larry Sayers, who's also a local pastor, running for District 6, Alabaster City Council. And then we have with us also Russell Bedsoe, who's works in the Sheriff Department and running for a House of Representatives. Dual purpose, very busy man. And also we have Mayor Marty Hanlon with us today. We just want some perspective. She's going out, but we'd like to hear from her because we have a lot of respect for her and want to know what's her future plan. So thank you so much for being with us. I pray that you are enlightened today. I pray that you leave the show with a better understanding and know what on Larry Sayers' mind, know what's on Russell Bedsoe's mind, and what Mayor Hannon will be doing later on. And today we want to start with my brother, my friend Larry Sayers.
Yes, sir.
You're running for
Council member Ward 6.
Ward 6.
Yes, sir.
And as I oftentimes ask, why now? Is this your first time being interested in politics?
Actually, Pastor Simmons is not. I actually ran as an opponent to Mayor Hanlon in 2016 for mayor. And I believe that God's timing is very important. And, we oftentimes talk about seasons, but I relate that to timing. And whatever God's reason was for prompting me to run for mayor in 2016, I did. And I spoke with Mayor Hanlon when I made the decision and went forward with doing it. He used whatever he needed to use during that time frame. And then coming here now in 2020, again, I believe that running for city council for Ward 6 for the city of Alabaster is, again, God's timing. And God does not always show us everything. Sometimes he does it and he'll show us small details. Then sometimes he'll show us the big picture. But he does not always give us all the details at once. And in this particular time, I see the small details in the big picture. And so this is the right timing for me.
Well,
in the city of Alabaster.
I've noticed at you all's at the last meeting, neighborhood meeting, you guys said that the city is running well. Everything is going well, and what it took to get us here, perhaps we can't use it to go further.
Correct.
But if everything is running well, why change it?
Well, one of the key things in that is that the Ward 6 city council seat will be vacant. Scott Brakefield is running for mayor, and I live in Ward 6.
Okay.
I considered and thought about running for mayor this time, but again, it's not God's timing for me to do that. It's not my season. So the city is running in the right direction, I believe. Unified in leadership, unified even with the citizens of Alabaster. And so even though there is unity and there's some, perfection, there's always things that you can do better. And so, me running for city council is a part of that. And me receiving the votes for the citizens of Ward 6 would be a part of that. And so we can always better our best, right? We can never get to the point where we're completely perfect.
Well, let me ask you another question. This is one of those questions that's outside the box.
Yes, sir.
You are running for city council, which the city council is to adopt laws and policies to govern the city. Here recently, a few weeks ago, about a month ago, you were part of the leadership of Black Lives Matter. What's the difference between Black Lives Matter and All Lives Matter?
Well,
And how would you tell your Caucasian voters the justification in reference to it?
Well, that's an excellent question. And I've been asked that a number of different times. And the importance for me is this. It's not that Black Lives Matter and only Black Lives Matter. It's all lives matter. White lives, Hispanic lives, brown lives, Oriental, all across the board. The greatest concern with Black Lives Matter during that particular time, and it wasn't so much about the Black Lives Matter movement, this focus was on unity. It wasn't about standing out and saying, raising the fist, doing the fist pump and saying it's about Black lives. It was about unity. Sitting down, my white brothers and sisters with Black brothers and sisters, sitting down and communicating, as you stated earlier, sitting down and talking about what the different things about us, our diversity, and how our diversity makes us better together, not separate. And so I don't really parlay to the fact of it's them versus us. I see it's us, unified, together. I don't have to support police officer, law enforcement, and not support Black Lives Matter. I don't have to support Black Lives Matter and not support All Lives Matter. I support all of it. That's what it means to me. It was unity more so than just the slogan Black Lives Matter.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
Mayor Henry,
Yes,
good to have you with us.
it's always good to be here.
We've been friends for some time. I was, needless to say, when we spoke on the phone, I was shocked to hear that you were not running again. From there, I've thought you've done a great job. I've seen the city grow under you. I've seen us expand. I've seen new buildings, new programs, and so I was shocked when you told me on the phone that you were not running. So what is it? You just got tired and threw in the towel, or too many enemies? Tell the people.
It's really it was a lot of things. Right after I was elected in 2016, because I had said all along, 2 terms, because in my mind I truly support term limits, because I think a fresh perspective is needed periodically. It's so kind of you to say all the good things, because
That's true.
it was one of my greatest joys. Serving as mayor has been one of my life's greatest joys. I truly enjoyed it. And after I said, okay, this is it, I got 4 years, let me see how much we can get done in 4 years. One of your congregation members said, Mayor, I know you to be a woman of faith. And I think that instead of you setting the timetable for the Lord, I think you should say, I'm done when the Lord's through using me here. And I said, you know what? You're exactly right. Because we can set our plans, but he directs our steps. And so I just kind of went through this term with that in mind, that he's going to let me know if this is it. And as this term drew to an end, all the things he was nudging me. He was pushing me, and I was digging my heels in for a lot of reasons, and I thought they were the right reasons. So I finally just said, okay, Lord, I'm gonna move on, because he's given me another passion that I think that I can really feel fulfilled by, and so I'm kind of looking forward to that. I may be 56 years old, but I have a youthful excitement about starting a whole new career path. And so I know I'm doing the right thing.
You say 56 like it's old. I guess it's 56 old. I'm Moses.
Well, your age has a way of making you think that your time is up. And so when you get that energy, that new excitement, and you go, oh, I got plenty of time left.
Well, and this is one of those, as I told Say, a popular, uncomfortable question. I had begged you to run again, to seek office again, and you said, "No, I'm done." Was it because I kind of felt like when you went to the march, I felt like they were a little tough on you?
You know, Pastor Simmons, there's a lot of people that have apologized that I even had to experience that. But I went to that to speak, to answer to any of their complaints, because I truly felt in my heart that we didn't have the issues that they were saying. And so I wanted to answer any questions. So I showed up. What I found out was a learning experience. When people are angry in that moment, they don't want answers. They just want to be heard. And it took me a while as I'm standing there, because I'm a fixer. I'm a problem solver. You tell me a problem and I'm going to figure out how to fix it. And it took me a little while. It was probably about 2.5 hours that was experienced. And it was tough, but it took me a little while to realize they really don't want answers. They just want to be heard. And as I listened to them, I heard hurt. There was a lot of pain, and it wasn't a black-white issue. There were lots of people hurting about different issues. And you look and you listen, and they didn't fit in any particular mold. And so really that day solidified my new career path, because I couldn't help them as mayor. As in my position, I couldn't help them. But I saw a lot of hurt that in my new profession, I can help them work through.
Well, look at when I saw the clip on Facebook, it appeared that it caught you off guard.
It did, because you know what? I think everybody comes seeking truth. But what I've learned, especially in the last 4 years, not everybody wants the truth.
Well, sometimes truth is subjective. It all depends.
And that's where you can only start from what my responsibilities are. And that's what I wanted to go and answer to, because I believe in accountability, and I believe that the people should hold me accountable for what they elected me for. And so I was there to answer for any complaints that they had or talk about them. But I honestly went just to kind of listen and see.
And you were in one of those positions, you asked me whether you should go. It's kind of like, you damned if you go and you're damned if you don't. And so when you went, there were some people that's ready to attack. So, and if you didn't go, there were some people would say that you should have been there as mayor.
But I said to the chief of police, I said, if they're coming to my city, I'm going to be there and I'm going to hear them. And he was like, really? Are you sure you want to do that? And I said, the Lord does not give me a spirit of fear, and I'm going to speak the truth. Now, what I did that I wish I hadn't have done at the time, probably because it made people worry about me. There was a lot of people that thought that bothered me to the point, and it was like, no, I wished I'd have just sat there and listened. The Lord's teaching me to be a better listener.
It's hard to listen to.
I've always wanted to share, information, educate, give people information so they'll at least know why we do what we do.
Well, last question. Leaving office.
Yes.
If you had advice, first of all, do you have any regrets?
I don't. I really don't, because I feel like everything I did to give the people confidence that I kept my word. I campaigned on financial accountability. I campaigned on changing the image and the culture in our city so that our kids and that our city was looked upon differently than what it had been looked upon in the past. And so being that full-time mayor, I had the opportunity to build those relationships so that people could look at us differently. So I don't have any regrets. I think we learn a lot about ourselves and a lot about people in the experience. But I believe there's purpose in that pain, and so I don't regret it. I'm just thankful that I was able to grow in it.
The new mayor coming in, which you had to leave him some advice. What you tell him?
You know, it's really tough because there is a big movement in our community that is just a lot of people are unhappy about a lot of things, and we can only fix what we can fix. And we put our priorities and our resources in the place that the governing body sets. And so the mayor's job is day-to-day operations. You stay in your lane and you focus on what your statutory responsibilities are, then you're going to be good. So the services that we provide the citizens of Alabaster are not optional. They're necessary. Public safety, having a safe city, having good roads to drive on, having your garbage picked up, your sewer working, all of those things are necessary for our quality of life. Our parks are very necessary for the quality of life. We actually depended on those parks in the COVID shutdown to get out for our own mental health. So having that quality of life aspect is so important. So there's enough to do in that statutory responsibility of day-to-day operations, the relationships with other agencies, the county, the state, even with other cities. Those are very important aspects of how we're looked upon by other people when we're recruiting businesses, when we're recruiting things that help us grow as a city. So I would say keep your focus on what your responsibilities are. Let the council focus on those things that are policy and the legislative branch. I think it's very important to keep those separate.
I'm told, well, I hear that you kind of bump heads with the Board of Education.
You know, I think you have to have conversations, Pastor Simmons, in order to bump heads. I had a conversation in 2014 about that 1 cent sales tax that I felt very strong shouldn't be tied down for 30 years because so much can happen in 30 years. And I felt as a newly elected mayor, it was important for me to speak out about my convictions. And so that was the last conversation that I had with the Board of Education. From then on, their conversations went straight to the council members.
Oh, okay. And I promise you this is the last one. What would you tell incoming councilman if he wins, Larry Sale? What would you tell him to expect his relationship with the mayor and the other council members?
You know, I think that's what has been so enjoyable for many of the years in office. I wouldn't say all of them, but many of them was a great relationship that all these things that you listed that were great about the city of Alabaster, the mayor can't do those by her or himself. It is truly a team effort. And so having that open communication and being willing to talk even when you have disagreed principles or priorities. Keeping those conversations going is so important. It's when people stop talking is when things go awry.
Yes. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you so much for sharing with us today. We have another special guest here with us, powerful man, Russell Betts. So you're running for State House Representative.
Yes.
And you're Shelby County Sheriff, jail commander.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Exactly. What's the job of a representative?
Well, so we talked a lot about it today, is having those conversations and talking with the people. And I was out doing some campaigning recently, and somebody, I think they felt like they were catching me off guard and said, well, when you get to Montgomery, what's your top 5 agenda items? And I just kind of laughed about that question because I think we have it all wrong. It shouldn't be about what my agenda items are. It should be about taking these opportunities to talk to the people you represent and finding out what their agenda items are. And so, for the last 9 or 10 weeks, we've been out doing that. I've been knocking on doors and talking to the voters of District 49, trying to find out what's important to them. And so if you ask me what's the job of the representative, is to do just that, represent the voice of people of this district to Montgomery, but never try to represent Montgomery back to my district, because the people in this part of the state don't want to be told what to do by the people in Montgomery. They want a voice, and that's what I'm trying to do, is be elected to be their voice in Montgomery.
Well, let me try to ask you some tough questions here.
Okay.
As a representative, right now our nation is in civil unrest.
Yeah.
We have racial issues and some sensitive things, and I think that we can resolve some if we sit down and talk about it. However, we have some issues that we really got to address, and I think it's going to have to come from higher up. Being that you are in law enforcement, let me ask you a question. Do you think it's time now? Some have said we need to defund the police department. I don't agree with that, and then there are others that feel like it's time for the police to police themselves. And what I mean by that is a police officer shouldn't just stand around and watch one of his comrades kill somebody, whether they're black or white. What's your feeling on that?
Well, I think the greatest thing about this, or about that conversation, is where we live in our state, Shelby County, city of Alabaster. Those things are already occurring and have been for a long time. Mm-hmm. One of the biggest critics of a police officer is a fellow police officer. Mm-hmm. And I can say that with absolute certainty of 22 years of law enforcement experience. I've been in many situations where we do critique each other. We do them in a version of what we call an after action. Anytime any critical situation goes on, we gather together and talk about the facts of what occurred and what could have been done better, what did we do right. But the greatest thing when you get to the heart of the issue, when it comes to any issues that we might have dealing with any of the minorities, is in this part of the state, with the agency I'm affiliated with, the Sheriff's Office, it's a mandate by our sheriff that we serve all the citizens of our county. Before Sheriff Samaniego even got in office, he started driving a policy back towards community policing. Because you don't want to wait till a crisis occurs to then reach out to the community and say, please help us calm everyone down. You need to build those relationships well before they ever occur. And I've got a fantastic boss who's done that. We've been out in the communities, whether it's attending birthday parties, whether it's going by and just saying hello to someone, to an elderly citizen that may be a shut-in. We've also attended many community meetings and neighborhood associations. So the idea of partnering with your community is paramount. You can't wait till after there's a crisis to do it. You have to do it now.
So you all as law enforcement, are you all training in reference to how to handle marches and, because everybody can't handle them. So we've got to, I figured that you would have some training how to tell the officers how to handle. Sometimes when people are marching, they can be belligerent.
That's
and
right.
Sometimes they can be adamant, passionate about their. So we have to have, I feel, we have to have some officers who have had training, so how to handle this rather than fight fire with fire.
Yeah.
So you guys are already trained.
Yeah, we are. And actually, we've continuing that effort and really kind of ramping it up, if you will. The Sheriff's Office is going to be conducting some training that is particularly designed just for those type of scenarios to, the idea behind it all is if people want to peacefully protest, to allow those people's voices to be heard while looking out for the safety of both them and the others who may be standing to disrupt that or to be a part of it on the countering side. So that training is ongoing, and I'm proud to say with the agency I work with, that is the case, and I know that to be the case in the city of Alabaster as well. Those conversations, those trainings, we're very fortunate to be a part of this community, and I'm very happy to be a large part of it, but also just part of behind the scenes making sure these policies get into play.
Do you know what the percentage of people of color in the sheriff department?
So, Pastor Simmons, one of the things I've been really encouraged about during this time of civil unrest and defund the police movement is we're really worried about recruiting new people to the police force, good quality candidates that want to come. But what we're actually seeing is those candidates are still there, and also we're seeing some minority candidates that are applying to be a part of it. They're not worried about the division between the skin color or between white and black. They're looking to be a part of the answer, and I'm very happy to have them a part of it. At the end of the day, with my agency, we believe in hiring the very best person, regardless of skin color. But I'm happy to have all those young officers who want to be a part of the law enforcement future to be a part of our agency.
Okay. Now, and we are closing out. Very last question, Paul. I know Sale's still here in the background. President Trump has alluded to putting off the elections. What you guys feel about that? What y'all feel about it?
No.
You think it ought to be
No.
an option to put off?
You know, I think it's not just something that I think that he's not the only one that has mentioned that or that's come up, because early on this spring, the League of Municipalities also talked about putting off the municipal elections and wanted to know how the cities felt about that, and no one was interested in doing it. You know, it's just there needs to be that fine determination of when that term ends and it's time to either get a new perspective or keep on doing what you're doing.
And as far as the national race, it's important to know that he doesn't have the full authority to do that. Our representative leaders would have to have a say. So, but I agree with what the mayor is saying. You know, we have tough times. We found a way to get out and socially distance and still operate. And I think through our election process, we need to do the same.
Well, I'm in agreement with you guys, but when I look at our president right now, it appears that to some folks he can't do anything right, because when he said about, you know, I thought everybody gonna be excited. He said, well, the church is one of those necessary things, and we need more prayer. I thought everybody would be, hey, great. And the same people that were derailing him were still derailing. So I just feel like we got to be subjective to what we are. I thank you all so much for being with us. Larry Sale, Bedso, Mr. Hanlon, been a friend for a while. I pray God's blessings upon you and your future endeavors. I pray that you are successful, and pray that the House of Representatives that you are seeking, I pray that God will lead you down the perfect path. And Brother Sales, I know you know as a pastor about God, just have to depend on it. Sometimes it don't go the way you think it should, but God has a plan for your life. Those of you that are at home, thank you so much for tuning in with us. Vila Entertainment is one that produces these. Jonathan, Sam, and Steve. I know Stephen. I know that we don't run out of time. Carl, looking at me a little. But I thank you so much. God bless you. Until next time, let's sit down and talk about it. Resolve our differences. We can go a lot further, get a lot more done if we just sit down and talk about it. Thank you. God bless you. Until next time.